Without a doubt, one of the things all Bluey fans love most is the fun and joyful dynamic among all the members of the Healer family.
Oh, hi Bluey.
But even so, have you ever noticed that the little blue puppy's parents make quite a few mistakes with their two pups?
Result.
Bandit is definitely a funny and engaged dad in his daughter's lives. No one can deny that. But you'll agree with me that a dad who farts in his kid's face and then lies about it, saying he didn't do anything, is clearly showing immaturity and setting a bad example for a child. Not to mention, it's super gross. In the episode Family Meeting, Bluey accuses her dad of letting out a really stinky fart right in her face. Yuck! That must have been horrible. And when Chilli arrives to find out what happened, Bandit says he didn't do anything, making his daughter look like a liar. Not knowing who to believe, Chilli sets up a trial so everyone can present their evidence. Bluey and Bingo recall all the things their dad had eaten from the previous morning until dinner time, and we all know Bandit. Of course, he ate a bunch of explosive snacks, if you get what I mean. In the end, the pups managed to prove their dad was lying, but the episode's message is the example being set for the girls. Bluey, following her dad's lead, tries to bribe Bingo with candy to get the truth. She's also hiding a secret, which is why she was in her parents' room so early in the morning. Bluey had been disobeying Chilli's rule about not playing on the tablet during weekdays. The whole story of this episode revolves around lying, and since our favorite blue puppy is just a child, it's only fair to hold Bandit responsible for unintentionally teaching his daughters to lie. Today's video is extra special, so if you love Bluey too, grab your explosive snack and join us for another Cinewave! Speaking of Bluey's drawings, in Season 3's episode Perfect, the Healer family celebrates Father's Day, and the girls are excited to make the perfect drawing for Bandit. Chilli tells the girls that making something perfect is really hard, but that their dad will love it as long as they try their best. However, Bluey is determined, and nothing she draws seems to meet her high expectations. That's when Chilli asks why her daughter is so set on making the drawing absolutely perfect. In the episode, we find out that at some point in the past, Chilli told Bingo that her new painting was so perfect that she would put it on the fridge to decorate the kitchen. But since there wasn't enough space, the girl's mom decided to put it on top of Bluey's drawing. Our little heroine thought that if her gift for Dad wasn't perfect, he'd do the same and replace it with something better. Honestly, Chilli didn't handle that very well, wouldn't you agree? Luckily, things always turn out fine in Bluey, and the girls were able to enjoy the rest of Father's Day happily with Bandit.
That sounds great.
In the episode Dump from the first season, Bandit is taking some old stuff to throw away. Bluey and Bingo get excited to help and go on the trip with their dad. And as everyone knows, the two are very curious and ask a ton of questions because Bandit is, indeed, a super smart dad. But the fun disappears when the pups discover that their dad is throwing away Bluey's drawings without telling them what he's doing. In other words, he was ready to hide from his daughters that he was tossing a child's artwork in the trash. Not cool, Bandit. But seriously, the episode's message is about recycling, and that's what Bandit tries to teach his daughters. He explains that for other kids to have paper to draw on, it's important to properly dispose of old drawings so the paper can be reused. Even so, it's not great to hide something like that. I mean, who would try to clean up the mess our little pups make? And to make sure we keep your favorite drawings, comment with #drawing, and we promise we won't throw anything away. Parents are the biggest role models for their children, right? And Chilli is a huge inspiration to her daughters. In the episode Promises, she gives the whole family a great lesson about keeping their word. During a fun day, Bandit takes the girls to the trampoline park, but Bluey wants to finish a puzzle first. Chilli asks her to promise she'll clean everything up afterward, but Bluey breaks her promise when Bandit also fails to keep his promise of taking the girls to the library. Bluey says that if her dad isn't going to keep his word, then she doesn't need to either. This was a major misstep in the pups' education, as Chilli explains that when you promise something, it's important to follow through. Otherwise, nothing good in the world would exist. But things get worse when Bluey and Bandit start using promises as a way to punish each other. For example, Bandit asks his daughter to promise she won't get upset when he puts only 2 books in her bag. Bluey agrees, but what Bandit doesn't mention is that these 2 extra weights are huge and she'll have to carry them down the street. In the end, Chilli shows how important it is to trust someone's word when Bingo gets stuck on a high playground toy. The situation is only resolved when Chilli promises that if the little pup jumps, she'll catch her. Bluey learns the power of keeping promises, and everything ends well. Even so, it's important to remember that parents need to set good examples for their kids, something Bandit didn't quite manage here. We know parents often make mistakes while trying to do the right thing, and one of the best examples in Bluey is the episode Omelette, also from Season 3. In this episode, Chilli and the girls wake up Bandit with a special breakfast celebration for his birthday. They're super excited because they'll be working together in the kitchen, and there's a lot of pressure to get everything right since Bandit gets very grumpy when he's hungry. Chilli hurries to make the perfect omelet, but the task gets tricky when Bingo, who's only 3 years old, gets excited to help cook. As a young pup, she cannot prepare an omelet without making a huge mess. Yet instead of explaining why it's better for her, an adult, to handle the omelet while the girls do something else, Chilli lets Bingo take on the hardest part. In the end, everything turns out fine, but Bandit has to wait a long time, and he ends up eating an omelet full of eggshells for his birthday breakfast. One of the episodes that best shows how Bandit and Chilli can make mistakes with their pups is Mini Bluey from Season 3. In this story, Bluey is doing exactly what you'd expect from a high-energy child, being super active and full of joy. This drives Bandit crazy, and he asks his daughters to be more alike. In context, Bandit wants the girls to be more similar so he doesn't have to treat them so differently. This leads Bluey to use her special paint to turn her sister blue and teach her how to behave just like her. But Bluey isn't as good as Bingo when it comes to helping out with household chores. In their minds, the pups think they're helping their dad this way, but when they both turn into little Bingos, Bandit and Chilli are clearly happier, giving the impression that they want 2 Bingos and no Bluey.
I could definitely get used to this.
What? Bandit?
This realization crushes our little heroine. Things get even worse when after Bluey overcomes this idea, her parents don't apologize for what they said. The episode ends in a funny way, with the 2 switching places, but the message it conveys isn't great. Bandit and Chilli might want 2 Bingos, but we want you to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our daily new videos. Playing in the mud is super fun. You can create so many games and pretend scenarios. In Bluey's case, she loves pretending to be a mud pizza delivery girl. In the 3rd season episode Pizza Girls, she and Bingo use a paddle boat and an old pizza box to play delivery. Everything's going great until Muffin shows up with an electric car she can drive like a real adult car. She got it as a gift from her dad, Uncle Stripe, who also bought himself a new car. This is where Bandit's and Stripe's lack of attention becomes obvious. They start talking about the new car and completely leave the girls unsupervised. That's when something really dangerous happens. Muffin's electric car goes super fast, and it becomes clear that the parents aren't really concerned about the girls' safety. Luckily, nothing bad happens, but it wasn't cool of Bandit to leave the girls without anyone watching them. And Chilli also wasn't paying attention when the 3 girls slammed down the gas pedal hard. Remember, you might be a fan of speed, but always be cautious. One of the episodes where Bandit sets the worst example for his daughters is Obstacle Course, where he shows that he's an aggressive competitor who can't handle losing. In the story, the girls decide to build an obstacle course for fun, pretending they're in the Olympics. I've played that game before. Have you? But Bandit decides to join in and says he wants to race the girls. When Chilli warns him about the dangers of this, Bandit starts clucking like a chicken, teasing his daughters by calling them scaredy cats. Come on, Bandit, that wasn't cool. The episode continues with them competing, and Bandit wins. The bad example goes further when Bluey says they can only beat him by cheating, which is yet another bad lesson. In their next race, Bluey's trick works, and Bandit shows that he's a terrible loser. When his daughter admits she cheated, they race again. This time, Bluey is about to win fair and square, but just as she's about to cross the finish line, Bandit pulls her back, winning the face unfairly. In this episode, Bandit proves he's a sore loser who can't stand being beaten. His desire to win might not be so bad if he were competing against someone his age, but against a child? And his own daughter, no less? That's just awful! It's a really poor example to set. Sure, we know Bluey cheated at first, but you'd expect more maturity from an adult. Luckily, things end on a good note when Bluey suggests they play a game Bandit isn't good at. Memory. Speaking of memory, let's remember that our favorite Australian dog cartoon is meant to both teach and entertain. That's why the character's behavior is designed to help deliver the real message. Lying, breaking promises, or being a sore loser is not good. If you love Bluey like we do, stay tuned to the channel because we've lined up 2 more fun videos. See you in the next video!